Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Plasinski, and welcome to the New York International Auto Show. We're here today on BMW Facebook Live Conversations to talk about the ActiveE, the new BMW ActiveE, 100% electric, 100% BMW.
Well said, Tom.
Thank you. With me is Rich Steinberg, who is the EV manager for BMW North America. Rich, why ActiveE?
Great question, Tom. What we're looking at here with the ActiveE is actually the second phase of what BMW has been, a project called Project I. It started about 4 years ago. And the first phase that came to America was 450 Mini-E's. We actually manufactured 600 Mini-E's. And we learned a lot about what it was like to live with an EV on a daily basis.
And that was a lease, right?
It was a lease only.
Okay.
As I mentioned, it was available in just 2 markets, Los Angeles and the New York Metro, where we're here in New York today. And we learned a lot about that. And one of the things we tried to do is apply some of the lessons from the Mini-E program in the ActiveE itself. A couple things that were really important. The Mini-E only had 2 seats, this has 4.
Okay.
The Mini-E had very limited luggage capacity, this has much improved luggage capacity. We also added one other important technological change, which was the active thermal management, the battery pack.
But before we get to that, you said 3 phases, this is phase 2.
Phase 3 though.
Phase 3
yeah.
is what?
Phase 3 is what we call, it's a new sub-brand that we announced a few weeks ago called the I sub-brand. And what the technology that we'll be deploying here in the ActiveE will ultimately end up in the i3, what was formerly called the megacity vehicle.
And that's coming in 2013.
That arrives in 2013.
Right? Okay. So, ActiveE, why don't you take us around the car?
Sure, my
Start
pleasure.
At the front?
Front of the car, you can see it's a nice white car with some interesting, unique graphic elements.
It has a hood bulge.
It does have a hood bulge.
Is this where the motor is?
What used to be the internal combustion engine is now the battery pack, and the battery pack actually extends back through what used to be the drive shaft area and actually into where the rear seats are. And where it used to be the rear axle, we now have the power electronics unit and the motor itself, which is sort of on top of the rear axle.
So this is, as a normal BMW, it's rear-wheel drive then?
Rear-wheel drive with 50-50 weight distribution.
Oh, okay, right, very nice.
Yeah.
And how powerful is the motor?
It's 170 horsepower, and it also has 180 foot-pounds of torque. And as with any electric vehicle, it's zero RPMs. You get the full torque and sort of an unbroken
and I have to keep
power.
Keep testing myself and not say engine. Again, I'm used to engines. This is a
motor.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Okay, so as we move back here, I see this device over here.
This is a charging station. This is a dedicated 220 volt outlet that we can put in his garage, and it uses the new J1772 standard that all U.S. electric vehicles will have that standard.
Now here we go, okay. There, we can see inside that. Looks simple enough. Now, is this, am I safe holding this thing?
Absolutely.
220 volts is a lot.
It has a couple of pins in there that ask for communication from the car and won't actually have any power flow until it talks to the car and then the energy flows.
I see, okay. So plug it in, simple enough, I guess. Just right there, okay. It's in?
It's charging.
Now it's charging.
It takes about 3 to 5 hours to charge, and we have a 7.7 kilowatt onboard charger. It charges about twice as fast as some of the competitors out there that only have a 3.3 kilowatt charger. So this car is basically more of a premium solution, offers faster charging opportunities.
Now, can anyone install one of these in their house?
Assuming they have the proper capacity on their fuse box panel, it's a pretty straightforward installation.
You said 220
basically
volts?
Basically need 2 empty slots on your panel.
How many amps, roughly?
32 amps continuous.
32 amps, okay. Great, okay. So we'll leave that plugged in. This is not actually charging.
Not actually functioning for display only. Right.
So with Mini-E, we had the number of cars on the road, 450 you said, and some of those customers are still driving their Mini-Es waiting for this to hit the market. First of all, when does this hit the market?
This comes later this fall. We open up the reservation process in summer, and we're actually going to have a 2-year lease of this, which extends the program till the introduction of the i3, which comes in 2013. The lease payment is $499 a month with a $2,250 down payment.
So you can't buy this car?
You cannot.
Okay, so you can lease it?
We're only bringing 700 to the U.S. They'll be in 6 different markets, the New York Metro where we're in today, including New Jersey and Connecticut, the Boston Metro. We're going back to Los Angeles, and we're adding San Diego, San Francisco, and Sacramento.
I see, okay. Well, we have lots of customers that were in Mini, 450 to be exact, and we have one customer with us today, Mr. Tom Milani. I'll invite Tom to come on stage here.
Hi, Tom,
nice
how are
to meet
you?
you.
Hi, Rich.
Tom, good to see you.
So, Tom, you've spent a fair bit of time with a Mini-E now, almost 2 years, and you have how many miles?
Just about 55,000 miles. Quite a bit of driving I do.
So tell us your impressions of it.
Well, the Mini is really a fantastic car. It's the first EV I've ever driven, so I really don't have other cars to compare it to, but I can tell you the drivability of it is fantastic. The torque, the instant power, really it handles like a Mini, you know, and it's a zero emission vehicle. I'm really love the vehicle.
And with 55,000 miles, you've driven it a lot. Now, I've heard terms like range anxiety. Maybe we should explain what that is. Maybe you can explain it, and
Sure.
you can
When we opened up the original Mini process to get people like Tom to apply, we basically said make sure you have another car in the household. It's an EV, limited range, 100 miles, and may not work for everybody all the time. But within weeks, and Tom I'm sure can confirm this, they were able to realize that 100-mile range was well within the normal range of a typical driver, and the drivers were looking for excuses to drive their Minis wherever and whenever they could. So that 100-mile, this whole idea of range anxiety is a little bit of a myth. We actually have a new app out there called BMW Evolve, which will allow you to basically, you can download it on your smartphone and basically simulate what it's like to live with an EV on a daily basis, start, stop, simulate charging, and you can see if you're compatible or not driving an EV.
And Tom, what's your experience with
Pretty much with what Richard's saying is spot on. You know, myself and the other Mini drivers, and we communicate amongst ourselves, realized, you know, after a month or so of driving the car, when you first get an electric car, sure, there's that, you know, you're looking at the range meter, you're watching it go down, and you're saying, oh my God, you know, am I going to be okay? But after, it only takes you a month or so, and you get comfortable with the range. You get comfortable that that's, you know, well within what you need for the day, and it fades away, and you stop thinking about it. I really never look at it, the charge meter anymore, and am concerned about running out.
We all have a routine, I guess, and once you realize that the car fits your routine, I would imagine you get comfortable with it.
It doesn't take long. You know, in the beginning, it can be a little unsettling. The first week or so you have it, but once you drive it a short period of time, you realize that you're going to be fine.
Now, range is affected by ambient temperature. So if you live in a cold climate like you do, Tom, you're here in the New York area, you lose range when it's cold, correct?
Yes, you know, it's partially because of the cold weather, and it's partially because you're using the heater a lot, which consumes some of the battery's energy. You know, and we had a very harsh winter here this year, a lot of snow. I drove the car every day in blizzards and, you know, sub-0 degree temperature. The car was fine, I never got stranded, but the range does drop.
Move a bit forward.
One of the things that I'm excited about the ActiveE is that it has active thermal management, which the Mini doesn't have, which, you know, the car will keep the battery pack, you know, at the optimal operating temperature, and it won't be as affected by the ambient temperature as the Mini E was.
I see.
And that's what I'm really looking forward to, driving one of these and seeing how well that works.
So when we say 100-mile range for this car, it really is, in real world, roughly 100 miles.
That's one of the nice things about running a Mini E program like that. We learned a lot of feedback, got a lot of great feedback from the drivers like Tom, and we're able to modify the technology quite a bit to make sure that some issues that like you faced with limited range would not be affected with the ActiveE.
Okay, I have the question here. It came from our Facebook posters, and this is from Allison. First question for you, Tom. Actually, what surprised you most about driving an EV?
What surprised me most was how much I enjoy it. When I first got involved with the Mini program, you know, I almost thought in my head, well, let's see if driving an electric car is tolerable. But after driving in a short period of time, I said, not only is it tolerable, it's great. It's better. The instant torque, the smooth acceleration, the quiet drive, it really impressed me, and to the point where now is I don't want to go back, and I'm not going to go back. The drivability of electric vehicles is fantastic.
Another question for you, actually. What is one of your favorite features? This is from Bimmer Post. One of your favorite features on the car?
Well, that would be the instant torque. We'll touch on that a little bit again. You know, it doesn't have a
really,
power curve like a conventional,
really
you know, internal combustion engine car. You know, the power there is there all the time, instantly. When you depress the accelerator, it throws you back. There's no lag. It's instant power, no matter what speed you're driving at. You don't get that in an internal combustion engine car. The power is much more, you know, efficient, and it's really a great drive.
What do you think about regenerative braking?
The regenerative braking is great. The Mini E has very aggressive regenerative braking.
It is. I drove one a couple of times.
The first time you drive it, you're probably not going to like it. You're going to say, oh, this is so foreign to me.
Yeah.
But you know, only after driving in a short period of time, it becomes so natural. And now when I'm driving an internal combustion engine car, a car that doesn't have the regen, I feel like something's missing. I miss it.
Well, we actually got some feedback from you guys about regenerative braking. At freeway speeds, you have to really carefully modulate the throttle. And with the ActiveE, we modified the system a little bit. So you lift off just a little tiny bit, you have sort of a freewheeling effect. Whereas if you lift off completely, then the car has the traditional regeneration you're used to with the Mini E. So we modified how the car operates based on the feedback you guys have given
And I
us.
would imagine that makes it more efficient because you're not slowing the vehicle down the minute you back off the accelerator.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Well, let's just make a call out here to keep submitting your questions. We have a few questions coming in, but we're live, so send the questions in and we'll try to answer as many as we can. If we can't answer them right now, we'll certainly post our answers to Facebook. But here's another one that just came in from another Bimmer Post one for Rich. How would you characterize the handling of this car?
Well, the Mini E was still a Mini. We added a little bit of weight, but changed the battery out, but it still had that go-kart-like feeling.
Right. And
you're going to feel the exact same thing with the ultimate driving machine here with the BMW. We have 50-50 weight distribution. 0 to 60 is under 9 seconds, which may not be as fast as a traditional BMW, but you get to have that peak torque, which gives you that strong feeling of acceleration.
So that's 0 to 30, 0 to 50 miles.
And it still has fantastic 50-50 weight distribution for handling, great premium touches on the inside of the car.
Right.
You're not sacrificing anything, you're not driving something and saying, oh, I'm sacrificing a little bit because I'm in an EV. It's still great fun to drive.
Okay, a couple more questions just came in. This one also from Bimmer Post for Rich. How much does it cost? I think we said the price is $499.
Right.
That all in, or?
Yeah, it has a down payment of $2,250.
Okay. And if you don't want to pay the down payment?
You can structure it as you wish.
Okay.
With the Mini, it was sort of everybody had to pay the exact same
amount,
thing.
sure.
But in this case, you can have 0 down payment, you can have a $5,000 down payment, however you want to structure it, that's available.
And it's
to
a 2-year lease?
2-year lease.
Okay. And then, does it require special maintenance?
All BMWs come with the full maintenance program. This is a 2-year lease. All BMWs come with 4-year, 50,000 miles, so obviously you fit within that window. Okay. Things like wiper blades or brake pads, which you probably won't need anyway because of the regenerative braking, but all those things are covered just like any other BMW.
Now, normal BMWs, 50,000 miles is the warranty period.
Right.
Tom here has already got 55,000 in his.
Yeah. And with this lease, it's unlimited mileage. We want you to put as much miles as you can so we can get more testing feedback.
Question from Nicole from Facebook. Why is the ActiveE a field trial? And that's an important question.
It's a great question. And we talked a little bit about the 3 phases. Mini E came first, and then the ActiveE is a 2-year lease. And it's built as a bridge to the introduction of the i3, which comes in 2013. And the exact same battery cell technology that's in this car, and the same powertrain that's in this car, will ultimately end up in the i3, and that's going to be available globally in all markets.
And that's right.
You can buy it, you can lease it, you can finance it, however you wish.
Okay. It's a tough one because we're introducing brand new technology, and BMW is not normally afraid of introducing new technologies. We have a long history of it. But in this case, we really thought we needed to get some real-world experience with real customers.
Yeah, and we need to see how the technology performs and see how the active thermal management works and see how, basically refine that process so when the i3 arrives, the car's ready to go.
All right, I'll ask you this question from a BMW blog poster. What does it sound like? Okay. So you don't know this car, unfortunately, but from Mini E?
I'd imagine it's pretty similar.
I would imagine so.
The best way to, to compare it would be a jet engine. Not quite as loud, but that whine. As you accelerate, it winds up, and then you back off, you have the regenerative braking, it winds down. It's kind of like the noise you hear in a jet engine as it starts to wind up to power up.
And there's no gears, right? You don't have to change gears or anything?
Nope, just 1 gear forward, 1 gear reverse. It's no shifting needed. It has a seamless, full power all the time.
Great. Okay, here's another one from BMW blog. What technology will be reused for the upcoming i3?
As I mentioned just a bit ago, the battery cell technology, which is part of a partnership between Samsung and Bosch. SP Motive is providing the cell technology.
So that's the same in here?
The same cell technology and the same powertrain.
It won't be spread out all over the car, though? Right?
No, it'll be, the i3 has a dedicated platform, an aluminum sandwich platform below, and then a carbon fiber life cell mounted on top. We're actually saving quite a bit of weight with the carbon fiber. But the batteries themselves that are in the ActiveE, as well as the powertrain in the ActiveE, will end up in the i3.
Okay, good. Let me move over here. Now, i3, we mentioned also it brings some other new technologies. It's the first mass-produced carbon fiber car, right?
Right.
So we're taking the weight of the drivetrain, placing it very low, and then we're building a carbon fiber structure above it.
Right.
There should be a
and that
very
weight savings is, instead of putting heavy and expensive batteries to achieve a range of, say, 100 miles, we can achieve that same range with the weight savings in carbon fiber by putting less batteries in the car.
Okay. Our blogs here are working overtime. Bimmer Post has another one for Tom, I think. What's the biggest misconception about EVs?
Oh, probably that they are underpowered, glorified go-karts. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions, but that's probably the biggest one. When people ask me questions, you know, I've gotten questions as much as, you know, how does it go up a hill? You know, and I tell them, well, faster than your car does.
Your average golf cart doesn't go up hills very well.
Yeah,
right?
well,
No.
you know, that's, you know, some of the early EVs you've seen are these tiny little econo boxes that are underpowered, that don't have air conditioning, that don't have amenities. You know, today's EVs like the Mini, like the ActiveE, are, you know, they have the full complement of amenities and luxury items that any regular car would have. You know, it's a car. It just has a different fuel.
Right. Another question that came in from Bimmer Post, can you charge it with a normal outlet? And I think we kind of covered that.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, yes you can. It takes a lot longer, right? It's about 24 hours
24
roughly?
hours. 3 to 5 hours with the dedicated charging station.
Okay, 3 to 5 to 24, that makes a big difference.
You'll want a
Now,
220 line.
You'll definitely want. But you'd mentioned earlier that you've done some things at your home to take yourself more or less off the grid, right?
Well, yes, shortly after I got the Mini E, I realized that electric drive is really the way I want to drive from now on. It sold me that quickly. So I then took it one step further and said I might as well just produce my own fuel. And I installed a solar array on my roof. And a lot of the other Mini E pioneers did it also. It's a natural combination. And so I produce all my own electricity that I charge the car with and that I power my house with now. And you know, it's a fantastic combination. And I'll be solar charging an ActiveE in the end of the year.
Fantastic. Okay, last question. We're running out of time. Very quickly, what makes the ActiveE different than the Mini E?
It's an entirely different technological package. It's a different set of batteries, different powertrain, and it has the active thermal management as well. Okay. So it's a pretty substantial change in terms of the technology we're deploying.
Great.
Let me add one thing if I could. Well done. If anybody's interested in driving one of these ActiveEs, they'll be available. The reservation process starts later this summer, and the vehicle's available this fall in the 6 markets we talked about. And I recommend anybody visit bmwusa.com/ActiveE to sign up for more details.
And there's one more piece, I think, which is an app that we have available,
the Evolve
right?
app, yes.
And that's to see if you really can use an EV.
If you're compatible with an EV or not.
So you can avoid range anxiety before it actually happens.
Before you even make a strong commitment.
There you go. And with that, thank you very much for joining us. This will be posted later on online. If you have any other questions, please make sure you send in your questions. We'll see what we can answer as we go through.
Thank you, Tom.
This comes late in the year.
Late this year.
Late this year. Hopefully we'll see 700 of you on the road soon. Thank you.